What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Always happy to see you guys here, and welcome to my review of Sinners, the latest from director Ryan Coogler. And it is something that I was definitely looking forward to. I definitely had my expectations. I was very excited, though as confused as I was at first when I first heard about this, which I'll get into here later. I had my expectations. I was definitely on board. I was definitely looking forward to this. So basically what you have here is two twin brothers played by Michael B. Jordan, who's basically these robbers that stole from the rich so that they could return to their hometown and start fresh and start a new life by basically opening up this tavern, where this out-of-the-way joint, this bar sort of, to where people can dance and just cut loose and have a good time. Meanwhile, you have a group of vampires that crashes the party and tries to create chaos and bloody carnage, while it's up to the twins to fight them off once and for all. So like I said, this was something that I was definitely looking forward to, and it was something that really confused me. Like when the first trailer had shown itself, they were very clever in keeping everything tight. They kept a tight lid on everything. You had no idea what it was about, what the narrative was. Was it a supernatural thing? Was it a slasher? Was it a thriller? Or was it a vampire one? It wasn't until the second trailer had come out as when you really got the sense, oh, okay, it's a vampire film. So as soon as that popped up, as soon as that second trailer dropped, I had already had my foot in halfway. And then by the time the second trailer showed up, I was already in. I was already sold. This film was directed by Ryan Coogler, who gave us such greats as the Black Panther films and Creed and many others. This actually makes his fifth film, which I had no idea. Right before I started recording this, I had to look that up. This only makes his fifth film, and that says a lot because he's already been labeled as one of the top respected directors in Hollywood, and that's something. That's quite an accomplishment, and I couldn't agree less. I agree full-heartedly with that. This is also one of those rare films, those rare rarities, to where a film actually reads up a full 100% Rotten Tomatoes score when it came out. It has changed since then. It only dropped like 2%. Now it's probably 1% lower than that. Lord knows what it's going to read up next. But it's just one of those rarities where a film actually managed to accomplish a 100% score and keep up past the 90s. And once again, that just proves that Ryan Coogler knows what the hell he's doing. He does such a good job in putting mainstream media and social commentary neck and neck, and just shows the problems of the world and what we face every day, which brings me to my positives of Sinners. He does a really good job at enforcing social commentary and mainstream into the fold in such a clever way, to where you have a film in Sinners that's based in the 30s, to where you have the Ku Klux Klan and the racism that happened back then, all this bad stuff that he really does a good job in incorporating into this film in such a way to where, with the narrative, it really fits to what the conjuncture of this film was saying. That it was very clever. I thought it was done very well. You just get that little bit of history sense. If you're a history buff, you'll definitely appreciate like certain aspects of how things were done back in the 30s. I mean, not appreciating what actually happened back then. It's horrible. Just the aspects of how low humanity has gone, just highs and lows of humanity. And I thought he incorporated that into this film very well. I thought it was very smartly written because of that alone. And I think he just does a really good job in just translating everything that was said and that was shown. That, again, he's just a very well-respected director because of that. Every director has their own style of directing, their own unique brand. And this is Ryan Coogler's. Very unique in a way, especially with all the narrative that he goes for. And it was very good. It was done very well, and I really did appreciate it. Michael B. Jordan, who basically plays twin brothers, so he basically double dips his acting abilities here to where he plays twin brothers. He plays Smoke and Stack. Kind of marinate on that there for a little bit. The way he plays these characters off was done very cleverly. You have Stack, who's sort of the wild card, sort of the jokester, the prankster of the two. Makes a joke out of everything. He's like the fun-loving one out of the two. To where you have Smoke, who's the complete opposite, who's the serious one. He's got that stoicness about him. He's like good on the business side of things, of what these guys are doing in this. And the way Michael B. Jordan pulled that off alone, it just shows the type of talent that this guy has and how good he can stretch his legs and push the limit of this guy's talent. And I think he did a really good job. I think they wrote these characters in such a way that only Michael B. Jordan can do. And I think he did a really excellent job. I think he nailed it. Then you have other characters like Cornbread, which ought to tell you everything you need to know about this. That's like check number one for this film. And he was one of my favorite side characters, just to be perfectly clear. And then you had another guy named Slim, and it's just all the tropes that was used for that era was definitely clear here, and I think that was just another reason why I think the writing of this was just as clear as day and just as clever as can be. Then you have a guy named Preacher Boy, which he's not the source of this film. He's not in forefront of characters of this film. But his character is the kind of source of what starts everything, what kicks off everything with these vampires. He's sort of like the background, the backbone of the narrative for this film that kicks everything off. I think that was done pretty clever. It was more of a narrative standpoint than anything else. It's not going to be anything that will wow you or anything like that. But I thought that was pretty clever as well. You even have Hailee Steinfeld in here, who I always admired ever since Bumblebee. I thought she was pretty good. It's just all fun characters all around. None of them annoyed me. None of them drug it into the mud for me. It was just plain good fun characters that I wouldn't mind hanging around any time of the day. I like the way the movie was shot. I thought this film was shot in such a way to where you had the aspect ratio of the widescreen that was like a little bit more than your traditional widescreen. And I think that just captures it a lot more. It widens it a lot more. Plus the colorings of the bar, like with the redness in the background and the textures and the coloring. I thought that was done very cleverly. And you had certain shots to when chaos started breaking out. There was certain downward shots that I thought was done very, very well. And there was like certain jump scares that really, literally got to me. I mean, literally just in your face. And it just had me jumping like every 5 seconds. That never got tired. That's another thing that Ryan Coogler seems to have grasped very well. Is how to do good jump scares without getting tired. Now that wasn't at the forefront of this film. That's not what this film was mainly based around. But I think that's one of the reasons why I could say that in the positive, to why this jump scares really worked. The carnage candy by the third act was superb. Now, don't mistake me when I say that the carnage candy by the third act was great. But that was the third act, and I'll get into a little bit specifically here in a minute what I mean by that. But as far as the carnage candy goes, when it was happening, superb. They go for blood. They go for all the redness in this. And it was quite satisfying, especially in those moments. For gorehounds such as myself, you'll definitely be satisfied, especially if you're able to make it up to that point. And again, I'll elaborate that here in a minute. But the blood gore was done very well, and it was quite surprising. It was, again, Ryan Coogler, man, you're awesome. Moving on to my next. This is a vampire film that's not like your everyday traditional film. Now, it does take a long time to get to the point of what I think a lot of people actually want to go to this movie to see. But with all the cultural references and the characters, the character arcs, and everything that built up to that point is what Ryan Coogler was wanting to make. And there's no doubt about that he wanted to make the most unique film as possible. But it does take a long time to get to its point, so this movie is not going to be for everybody. It is not going to be for your die-hard vampire fans that's a fan of probably, let's say, Blade, From Dusk Till Dawn, even though I'll refer to that here in a minute. and Lost Boys, which a lot of that I think does have inspiration from in this film, but it's not your traditional vampire film. If you're looking for carnage-soaked candy, this isn't really going to be for you. But again, the character arcs and the journey leading up to that portion is pretty fun. And that's why it's a mix for me. But the film sort of reminded me of a Dusk Till Dawn situation, to where that film, it started off as this crime drama, kidnapping, thriller type, turn vampire, to where this is like a period piece turned vampire film. And I really did like that. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I liked that reminded me of those others. Abigail was sort of the same, but I got more of a vibe of Dusk Till Dawn from this than I did from that. Even though it does take a while. If you thought Abigail and From Dusk Till Dawn took a while to get to its vampire roots, yeah, which was like 40 minutes into that film. Which is why this reminds me so much of a Ryan Coogler's version of From Dusk Till Dawn than anything else. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes to get to its point. But again, Ryan Coogler was wanting to say something that was more fleshed out than just the vampire stuff. And I definitely got that. I definitely understand and get what he was doing. But for me, I actually found it enjoyable. I mean, again, it's in the mix because, yes, it does take a while to get to the vampire stuff. But it was a fun ride leading up to that. So like I said, it's not going to be for everybody because of that reason alone. But if you're a diehard fan of what Ryan Coogler has done so far, and somebody who appreciates good character build-up and what Michael B. Jordan brings to the table, then you'll definitely look past all that and you'll still have a good time. But if you're looking for just straight-up vampire carnage, this isn't going to be for you. Not really. Moving on to the negatives, I didn't quite like the way that they presented the vampires. It was nothing original here. As entertaining as I thought the blood and gore scenes was involving them, I didn't really find that the vampires themselves were that improved upon. I mean, the only thing that I did find enjoyable was their glowing eyes. And Ryan Coogler said that he took inspiration from some Disney project. I forget what it was, but some Disney project where a cartoon character or an animated CGI character had glowing eyes exactly like these vampires has. Again, I can't remember what character that was, but I remember hearing it and thinking, wow, really? Huh, okay. Whatever works, man. That's about the only thing I enjoyed. But as how much I wanted the vampires to stand out, they really didn't. It was just your basic, typical, everyday vampire that you've seen before. Other than the glowing eyes, which is cool. Nothing really stands out about them. And for my final negative, there was portions of this film to where some of the dialogue was a little muffled. I don't know if it was the theater that I would go to, which I don't think it was. I think it was intended. Kind of like how some of Christopher Nolan's movies are. Like, there's a bunch of critics that would always bash some of the dialogues in his movies to where you'd hear a muffled sound, and it may be a part of dialogue that was probably important. Here, it kind of sounded the same. And it's like there's certain parts of dialogue that you couldn't really understand or make out what you were hearing, to where it's like the music could have been toned down a little bit. Some of the bass could have been toned down a little bit for you to actually hear. But again, it is what it is. Bottom line, I had a good time with this. Now, will this end up being one of my top favorite vampire films of all time? Probably not. But it was fun. It's definitely something I wouldn't mind seeing again. It's actually made my second time watching it, so that should tell you something right there. But it was fun. It was exciting. It was thrilling. And I think it's good enough to own. Sinners, what was your thoughts on this? Have you had a chance to see it yet? Are you a fan of this? Are you a fan of what Ryan Coogler brought to this film as a vampire genre? Is this something that really excited you? Or was this not for you? Was this not in your ballpark? Was this not your cup of blood? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for clicking here and watching this. I really do appreciate it. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon so you don't miss a thing. Do it right now. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.